Okay, good morning everybody. We are going to start. Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. So I'm going to do the demonstration and speak about how to make your first aid kit using what is in your kitchen. And after that you can have your blood pressure checked and you can have pure juice. Juicing, as in it's the vegetables that were juiced. So it's according to your ailment. There's sinus, there's high blood, diabetes, and a few others. So you can just ask the corner over there what is what, and they will give you a little shot. And then you can have your eyes tested if you haven't already. This is information about the eyes as well. And anything else you need to know, you can speak to Sister Pat over there. She does the eyes. And any other questions relating to, blood pressure, whatever, you can ask Sister Dawn or Brother Eugene. And I'll start soon. Okay, so in Psalms 104, verse 14, it says, God gave us herbs for the use of man. So we have everything that we need in order to heal ourselves, so to say. Because if you think about it, Western medicine only came along 200 years ago maximum. But before then, there were herbs. And people had the knowledge of how to use herbs and vegetables to heal the different ailments that they had. So we are in a situation where we can learn these different herbs and vegetables, the curative purposes, and how you can harness those healing properties from it, and then use it in your body either to reverse your issues or to help build up your immune system or whatever your case may be. But basically, it's a mindset change into becoming healthier, into a healthy living lifestyle. So it's more of a sustainable type of concept of how you want to live your life. So it's not only using the herbs, but you also need to try and change your diet, because you are what you eat as well. So a lot of our ailments today is due to our lifestyle and what we eat. If you take diabetes, for example, it's mainly the type 2. It's mainly the cause of what you consume. If you eat too much fatty foods, too much rich foods, and so forth. And then, it's hereditary as well, but it's the hereditary gene is triggered by what you eat. And your lifestyle and stress and those types of things, smoking and all of that also contributes. But most of the ailments today are lifestyle triggered, so to say. So a lot of these things can be reversed by changing your lifestyle, changing what you eat, and also by using God's remedies that He gave us. Okay, so the reason why we need to do this is firstly because our medical aid system, our healthcare system is inundated. If you go to the state hospitals, you queue for hours. Some people sleep there the night before so that they can get seen, because if they've reached their quota for the day, they will turn you away, even if you've been waiting all day. So you need to learn how to manage whatever your ailments are as well. If you can't afford medical aid, which is crazy expensive, and if you can't get to be attended to by the healthcare system, and they mainly only cater for those that are serious trauma cases or whatever, So another thing is that Western medicine is sort of a one-shot cure. So it doesn't heal the problem per se, it just heals the symptom. So how we need to go about this is we need to start becoming our own investigators. We need to see, or at least ask the questions, what is the problem? Where did it start? And how do I go about treating it? Once you've ascertained those three, then you can see what will work for whatever your ailment is. But you need to start at the root of the problem so that you can fix the root. Because what our symptoms are only secondary symptoms of what the actual cause is. So once you fix the cause, you won't have the symptoms or the problems that relate because of the cause. So you need to get to the root of the problem and be your own investigator. Also, these are just the general things of what helps for general ailments. Everybody is different. So it might work for 99 of the people, but it might not work for you. And then you need to try and see what else will work for you. God is so amazing that it's not only one thing only cures that thing. There are multiple things that can cure the same thing. So if one thing doesn't work for you that works for 99 people, you can try something else that might work. So that is how amazing herbs are as well, because they are not like Western medicine that only fixes one problem. They have secondary metabolites and so forth that can fix various problems. So it's more of a holistic approach as well. So it can only be beneficial for you. And then obviously you have to do your lifestyle change. You have to have these components: sunlight, fresh air, food, nutrition, exercise, sleep, and then of course you need to commune with God and water. And so those are it's called New Start, but not in that order. But those are the vital things that you need to have a healthy lifestyle, so to say. If those things are in place, the other things are secondary. And obviously God trumps all of that, because once we have our communication with God, He is the healer of all things. So today, I am going to mainly do poultices. Poultices are basically where you take a cloth or something that can hold wet things and you put it on the problem area. So I'll show you how to make poultices of the various things for the various ailments, and I'm going to do cough mixture as well. So what I'm starting with is onion. So onion is a drawer. So it draws out the infection, whether it's whatever the infection is, whatever the germs are, whatever the problem is, it draws it out. So there are various ways in which you can use onion. One of the first one is, I think my onion fell out in the kitchen. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I'll talk about the onion. So the first way you can use onion is by making a cough mixture. You will slice up the onion and you will put it in a jar. So you put a layer of onion, and then you put a layer of honey, and then you put another layer of onion, and you will do that until the jar is full, and you let it stand for about 24 hours. You will then see that the mixture of the honey and the onion will start forming a liquid, and once everything is liquefied, you then pour it out into another container, and you can then keep that in your fridge for up to a year, because honey is a natural preservative. It also has amazing healing properties. The propolis in the honey is anti-inflammatory, and it also helps with a lot of different things. It's also a humectant, which means that it absorbs water and moisture, and our bodies are made up of 80% water, so we need water for every single function in the body. So you can make a cough mixture. If you don't have honey, you can use sugar. It won't be as good, but honey preferably is what you will use, and then that you can use up to a year.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
The honey that you're talking about is raw honey and not pure honey, because there is a difference.
There is a difference.
You must be very careful not to.
Yeah,
Yes.
raw honey is obviously better.
Yes.
However, it is very expensive, and most people can't always afford honey. So yes, raw honey will work the best, but pure honey can be used, and like I said, you can use sugar if you don't have honey, but preferably try to use honey. These natural remedies are expensive initially, some of them. Not all of them, some of them, like the Himalayan salt and the honey, but it's an investment. because it lasts long,
Yes.
and the effects that it has on your body is amazing because you won't have to pay for all those tablets and all those things, so you in the long run be saving money. Okay, then the next thing that we do is you make a poultice. So you can either use a nappy, a kimby, or a sanitary pad. The reason for or a panty liner. The reason for this is that it's got layers of cotton, which helps absorb whatever you are putting on very nicely. It keeps it firm, and it's got this plastic type of layer which will keep it from seeping onto your clothes and wherever. So it insulates everything nicely in this package, and then you put it on wherever your ailment is and you wrap it up. So if you're doing the poultice, there are two ways you can use the poultice. The one is you can slice up the onion into little, slices, and you put it on the poultice and you put it under your foot before you go and sleep. So this you mainly use if you have like a cold, a flu, or any of that type of infection, but actually any germ that you have in the body, it draws it out. So when you put this under your foot, the slices of the onion under your foot, and you go and sleep, when you wake up, you'll see it will be very dry. But that is because it has absorbed all of the germs into the onion, and it's given the nutrients back into the body that your body needs to heal as well. So it's a dualistic process. That is the one. And you can also use it for coughs as well. The second one to how to use onion is that you can either chop it up into little cubes or slices, but preferably cubes, and then you can put it in a cloth. This is also another form of poultice. So you will put it in the cloth, and then you will close it and put it in the microwave and heat it up, but it mustn't be too hot. So when it is heated up, it must be able to touch the skin and not burn. You then put it on your chest. This will then draw out the infection in the chest, and it will break up the mucus of the coughing, and then you will cough everything out. So it's also dualistic in that way. And this poultice you can use up to 2 days. So you just reheat the onion every time, and you put it on the chest. Until you see it's a bit slimy, then you know, okay, I can throw it away. But you can use the same onion up to 2 days. When we had COVID, my uncle's cough was very bad, and this is what we did. We put the poultice, the onion poultice, on his chest, and it really helped him a lot. His cough eased tremendously, and it also healed him because it also, as I mentioned before, draws out whatever infection is there. So that is what onion does, and that is how you can make the poultice. So the next thing I'm going to do is garlic. So garlic is basically, sorry.
Just a quick question. What is the best way to store the onion for the next day? You said you can use up to 2 days.
In the poultice. You leave it in the poultice and you put it in the fridge.
In the fridge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because as soon as it, is exposed to air, then it starts drying out. So then you will leave it in the fridge just to preserve it a little longer, and then just reheat every time you're going to use it. So, garlic, as you know, is antibiotic of note. It is one of the strongest, it's basically stronger than your normal antibiotic, which is the common one is tetracycline, that is used by the majority of GPs and so forth. It's 6 times stronger. So if you use garlic instead of antibiotics, it will really do, thank you so much, it will really do amazing things for you. So, as you know, with normal antibiotics, your body becomes resistant, or at least not your body, but the bug becomes resistant to the antibiotics. With the result that after a while, if you use it for too long or too many times, then your body can't fight off the infection anymore. But garlic doesn't pick at least the bacteria or the infection or whatever you have, the virus or whatever it is. The issue is it can't become resistant to garlic at all. So it will always be pungent and it will always work. Wild garlic is even stronger than normal garlic. So that is an amazing thing to grow in your garden as well. So garlic is also antiviral, antifungal, antimicrobial, anti-yeast. So how you can use garlic is if you can use it on if someone that has diabetes has a fungal infection starting on their feet, you can use garlic for the fungal infection. Or if you any normal person, but I mean it really helps them because they can't use a lot of things. But you can use it for toenail infection, you can use it for any infection, for any yeast, because it's antifungal, antibacterial, antimicrobial. You can use it for, as you know, it's a wonder thing. So you can use it for any, like a myriad of things. Antimicrobial, you can even use it for mold and bacteria. It stops the growth of mold and bacteria as well. So it's not just on your body that you can use it, but you can also use it to disinfect, you know, because that's what it also means. So
it keeps the vampires away.
So you can use it on those places, but how do you use it to you?
So I'm going to show you now. Yeah, I'm going to show you. So for a poultice, depending on what you're going to use it for, you can slice it up into small slices, and then the best is to use a sanitary pad or a panty liner because it's nice and thin. So then it's easy to put on and work with. So you will then put your little pieces on there, and then you will put it on whatever the ailment is, and you will then wrap it. So this will then protect whatever the contents are inside from spilling and messing up, you know, and then it will keep the contents firmly onto the area that is infected. So that is basically how you use the poultice. Then you can also crush the garlic. And as you know, it's a big immune booster, so drinking this every day is amazing. If you have the flu or something, you can make a flu bomb, preferably which you add olive oil and you add a few other things. You use turmeric and cayenne pepper, and you use some ginger as well. But the garlic, you will then normally crush it like that, and then that you will also put onto the poultice like that. So there are two ways that you can make the poultice. Okay. You can also use garlic for chest infections, joint pains, for all those types of things. Like I said, garlic you can use for almost anything because it's mainly an immune booster, and it's anti-everything. So you can use it for almost anything. When you have the flu or a cold, it's best to consume 1 clove of garlic 3 times a day. You can make a garlic sandwich where you cut it up, you put it on the sandwich, you put some avo, some tomato on, just because it's really pungent, and then you can eat that 3 times a day. Or you can consume it however you like, but preferably raw, because it works best when it is raw. Garlic is very strong, so you can't leave it on the skin for too long because it can burn your skin. So if you are dealing with a diabetic patient, be very careful. Just leave it on for a little while, take it off. You can put it on again and take it off because it can really burn the skin. Now, it takes 1 minute for garlic to circulate throughout the body. That is how amazing it is, and then it can start working immediately as well. Okay, so next I'm going to do ginger.
Sorry, can I just ask, can you put it on an open wound? Like seeing that you said it's
I'm going to get to what you can use for an open wound, but preferably not because it will burn. The best way to use garlic is to consume it so that it works from the inside. But like I said, if you have a splint or anything, it also helps draw out. And then fungal infections, mainly topically.
What age would you suggest for the kids as well? I mean, for what age can you give the child a garlic?
Babies can have garlic as well, but obviously in very small doses. If you're using it for babies, preferably put it under their feet, but put a cloth or something on first, then you put the garlic on, and then you put it under their feet. Because like I said, it takes 1 minute, so when they walk or tramp on it or something, it immediately is absorbed into the bloodstream and then it can circulate. So it is amount dependent for babies, and you don't put it directly on their skin. Okay, then I'm going to go to ginger. Now, what I'm going to do is hot and cold now. So ginger is hot. Ginger causes a heating sensation. Ginger is used for joints. So just think ginger, joints. Ginger is a strong anti-inflammatory. It's also an immune booster. It helps with a lot of different things. Ginger and garlic are the two main amazing ingredients that you can use for almost any ailment because it's that good. But ginger specifically helps with joint pain. So when you are having joint pain, the problem is that the synovial fluid is dried up, which causes pain and inflammation. Now, inflammation is the body's way of saying that there's a problem in the area. So it draws the blood to the area and then it swells up. Now, when it swells up and it draws the blood to the area, that is when the blood is working. So the blood is causing the swelling to occur so that the nutrients in the blood can then go to the area and start healing. But now the inflammation, so inflammation is a good thing because it draws the blood to the area and then it draws it away to the lymphatic system, which is what you want because you want the impurities that is in the area as well to be drawn away, or whatever is aiding the pain and inflammation. But the main thing is to draw the blood to the area. So when the synovial fluid is drying up, or whatever is causing the pain and the infection and the inflammation, the blood is then rushing to the area. So as you know, blood is filled with nutrients and all kinds of things to heal. You know, healing is in the blood, Psalm says. So now healing is starting. So inflammation is swelling, it's good. And that inflammation causes heat. And the heat is what is drawing the inflammation out of the joint. So that's why the area swells up. But it's dualistic because that heat then aids in easing the muscles around it, because normally when you have inflammation, the muscles are paining as well. It's not only the joints, but it's the muscles around. So now that heat from the inflammation can ease the muscle pain, ease the pain of the muscles. So it's like when you have back pain and you use a hot water bottle, it eases the pain. So that is also how amazingly your body works, by trying to ease the pain of the inflammation if you have arthritis, for example. So it doesn't take the problem away, the heating of the muscle, but it soothes the area. So that is basically how it works. So you want to draw the inflammation out of the area, and that is what ginger does. It draws the inflammation out. And then you would also put it on a poultice, either a big one, because normally, depending on where it is, whether it's a big joint or something, you would then put it on there, and then ginger you would grate. You can use it with the skin, it doesn't matter. Ginger you would then grate, and you would put it on the poultice like that. And you would put it on the infected area and then wrap it up. Also, when you are putting the poultice on, put like cling wrap over it just in case it oozes out on the sides, because ginger is very liquidy. Some of the other things are also very liquidy, so it could ooze out on the side if it isn't absorbed. If you're not using one of these, if you're just using a cloth, then preferably put cling wrap over. So that is how you use ginger. And obviously, you know, if you have colds or flu or whatever the case may be, you then drink ginger. And when you drink ginger, you also get the heating effect. That's also inducing inflammation, so that the blood can start flowing in the body, so that healing can take place. So if someone is sick, give them lots of ginger as well with the garlic. Another thing is that when you have ginger, it heats up the body. So if someone has diabetes and they are very cold, because the extremities get cold as well, ginger is a good thing without honey, because they can't do the honey. Ginger is a good thing for them to drink, because it will induce the inflammatory response overall in the body, which can then aid with the problem that they are having, and it will heat them up as well. Okay, so now I'm going to do potato. So I did hot, ginger induces heat, and now potato cools. Potato also has many properties, but potato normally deals with tissue. So ginger deals with joints, and potato deals with the tissue. So when you have the inflammation, and now the joint is swollen, and you've now put on the ginger, and it's now drawn the inflammation out of the joint. The tissues are then swollen and hot. Then you will do a potato poultice, because now the inflammation is in the tissues and no longer in the joints. So you will cut the potato up like that, and you will also put it on a poultice like that, and then you put it on the tissues. And not only will give a cooling sensation, but it will also then heal the tissues. So potato is used for all kinds of skin or tissue problems. So where there's no joints and it's just flesh, tissue, muscle, all of those stuff, you use potato. Use potato for cuts, burns, scrapes. If you've had a burn and you don't have aloe or lavender or things that help with burn, you can also use potato, because not only does it cool the area, but it also has healing properties. So potato is amazing. You can use it for conjunctivitis, to do eye irrigation. You can heat it a little and then squeeze out into something like this, and then you just flush the eye out as well. You can also use it for if you have splinters or fungal nails and all of that. So you then just do a little poultice of onion, and you can also draw out the splinters and boils and all those types of things. So anything that has to do with skin and muscle tissue problems, you use potato. You can also grate it, whichever is easier for you, whichever is less messy, and whichever will work for the area that you, because obviously this needs to go in a big area, but if you need a small surface area, you would then grate the potato and put it on the ailment area. Okay, so now that's hot and that's cold. Now we're going to do hydrotherapy. Hydrotherapy is basically when you're using water. So you do it hot and you do it cold. This also helps with all types of ailments, flus, infections, inflammation, muscle pain. You can use it for almost anything as well, depending on where the area is. So for example, if you have gout or arthritis, sorry, not gout, if you have arthritis in the foot, you will then put it in hot water for 3 minutes, and then cold water, very cold water, for 30 seconds. Then again into the hot, 3 minutes, cold. And you will repeat that 5 to 6 times depending on what you can stand. You need to also listen to your body, because your body will say how much of something you can handle. Some people can handle more hydrotherapy, others can't handle so much. So you need to listen to your body because everybody's different. So the hot and the cold also induces the inflammatory process. And like I mentioned before, the inflammatory process is your body's way of healing itself. Because it's the blood that is rushing to the area, and then it's doing its work with all the nutrients and everything, and then whatever is in the area that is causing the problem, it's then taking it out via the lymphatic system. It also helps with dilating and constricting your blood vessels. So when you have inflammation, you need your blood vessels to open up so that blood can gush to the area, and then you need to close it up so that it can help with the pain and squeeze the toxins out. So that is the type of concept of hydrotherapy, where it's using the blood to heal the body. So that's why you can use it with a myriad of ailments, infections, pains, everything. Hydrotherapy can be used for a lot of things, and it's amazing. Any questions? Yes, yes. Potato can be used for headaches as well. You will then just put the poultice on the head. What also is used for headaches is peppermint oil. But I'm just doing vegetables and what's in your kitchen, because this is, should an emergency arise, most of these things you have in your kitchen. So then you can know what to use for the different, you know, if you can't get to a doctor, if you're waiting for an ambulance or whatever the case may be, you can use these remedies because they are known to work. A story about the potato. This one guy, he was sickling his grass out in the country, and then the sickle caught into his heel, and he just left it, you know, saying that his body must heal itself and all of that. But then it became septic and infected, and tetanitis set in, and you know, that is very dangerous. So because they were in the country and an hour out of the city, all they did was they just put poultices of potato on the infected area, and they did hydrotherapy. So they did the 3 minutes, 30 seconds, hot and cold, of like 3 times a day, and then the rest of the day they put potato poultices on the infected area, and after 2 days the sepsis disappeared, because when you have tetanitis or septicemia or whatever, there's a line that goes up your leg or wherever the injured part is. That is to show that the problem is there. So that line started disappearing, the area started healing, the infection started being drawn out, and after 2 weeks he could walk properly, had his function back to his ankle. And so just by using hydrotherapy and potato poultice. So yes, it does take a little longer, but it does work amazingly if you just keep on doing it. Okay, so now I'm going to do cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is absolutely amazing. It's a blood adaptogen. So what that means is that whatever the problem is with the blood, this solves it. If your blood is thick and needs to be thinned, cayenne pepper will thin it. If your blood is too thin, cayenne pepper will thicken it. So whatever the problem is, it adapts to the problem. If you have high blood pressure, try and drink. Start off with a pinch of cayenne pepper in water once a day. Don't stop your medication, but try to wean off it, because this will then thin your blood, and you won't need to be on your warfarin or whatever the tablets are, because those tablets have terrible side effects, and ultimately it's not good for you. But just cayenne pepper can do amazing things. If you see someone that is busy having a stroke or a heart attack, just put a dash of cayenne pepper under the tongue. Because under the tongue, that is the quickest way into the bloodstream. And that will really bring the person back to life, so to say. There was a story, these people had a workshop, and just a cooking workshop, and the lady turned pale and she fainted and basically was having a heart attack. And the person that was doing the workshop knew herbal remedies, and they just put some cayenne pepper under the tongue. And within a few minutes, she just sat up and she's like, what's going on with everybody? And she was fine. So her heart attack was basically stopped, and then she was set right, you know. So cayenne pepper is amazing. If you have cuts or like that won't stop bleeding, put some cayenne pepper on it. It might sting initially a little, but it will coagulate the blood, which will then help you, you know, stopping the bleeding and so forth. So like I said, it either will thin the blood or it will thicken the blood, depending on what it is that your body needs. So cayenne pepper is so amazing that it is able to detect how it needs to adapt itself.
So, just on the cayenne pepper, hot water or cold?
It doesn't matter, whatever works for you.
And then about a quarter teaspoon of cayenne pepper?
Yeah, like I said, if you're starting out and you have high blood especially, start with just a pinch, and then you can increase and you can start having it. But your body will tell you, you will see if it's working or not. If it's working, you will start feeling it's working. You will start seeing you don't need your other tablets because your body is now starting to function without the tablets. So the aim is also to wean yourself off the medication so that you can just do herbal remedies that actually work. Okay. Another thing is that cayenne pepper enhances herbs. So if you're using herbs for anything, it enhances the healing properties, and whatever the herb is that it does, it enhances it almost triple-fold. So it's amazing in that also.
Question. So if you don't have any ailments, but can you still just do the cayenne pepper?
You can, yes, it will keep you healthy.
Okay.
It will keep blood flow, so it also it helps with circulation. So it's good for people that have diabetes as well. So if the diabetes is affecting your feet and there's no circulation in your feet, you obviously need circulation to prevent gangrene from setting in, because that is the problem with no circulation. So you, as a diabetic, can't put their feet into hot water because it will damage their tissue, their blood vessels, their liver, everything. So they need to warm their feet first before they can put it in warm water to get proper circulation. So what you can also do is you can make a little poultice using cayenne pepper. So you just sprinkle a little olive oil in. That is so that when you sprinkle the cayenne pepper on, it will stick and not fall off. When you put it under their feet, and this will then induce circulation. So then it will draw the blood to the area, and then circulation can start. And then the feet will start warming up, and then once it's a little warm, then you can put it into the hot water to do the hydrotherapy to help them.
So what is the best part of the cooking to put the salsa?
Obviously under the biggest surface area, which is your, yeah. And it also helps with side effects of chemo. So if you are doing chemotherapy, if you take some of this at least twice a day, there are terrible side effects. You are nauseous, you are weak, you feel like you're dying. This really helps with the side effects of chemo as well. Okay, so it will obviously also then help with headaches, migraines, all those types of things, because the whole point of healing is to have proper circulation, because everything is in the blood. All your healing is in the blood, and you want to do whatever you need to for the specific problem to induce inflammation or circulation, so that the blood gets to the area where the problem is. Okay, so now I'm going to do charcoal. Lots of people don't know about charcoal. This is not normal charcoal from a braai, whatever. It's activated charcoal, which is It's it's done through a proper process. It goes into a kiln at very high temperatures, and then apple cider vinegar or lemon juice or something is added, and then that is what produces the charcoal. Now, charcoal adsorbs. Absorption is you have something that absorbs and keeps it here. Adsorption is it doesn't just adsorb, but there is no end to how it's like the sticker. If you put some of this on, it will stick to the surface. So that is what adsorption is. It sticks to the surface. So if you think of a diamond, there are many facets to a diamond. So each particle of charcoal has a million different facets. And whatever it does is it absorbs onto those facets. So one piece of charcoal can absorb thousands and thousands of pieces onto one piece. So the main thing that charcoal does is it absorbs all toxins. So whether it's a tummy bug or a snake bite or a bee sting or alcohol poisoning, whatever toxin is in your body, charcoal adsorbs. So you can drink it and then you can make a poultice from it depending on what the problem is. So obviously if the problem is on the inside, like alcohol poisoning or tummy bug, you would drink this, it will then sort of absorb the toxin onto each surface and then flush it out of the system. It's also it's a negative ion, so it only takes out the negative things in the body. So in the gut flora, it won't absorb the good flora, your probiotics, your things that your gut needs to work properly. It won't do that. It will only take out the bad flora that's in your gut also. So if you have like IBS or whatever problems in the gut, this also helps. So charcoal is really an amazing thing. It's not expensive. You do get it in the tablet form, which is expensive, but in this form, it's like 30 rand or something for 100 grams. So how you use charcoal is you make a poultice, but charcoal is very messy. So like I said, you can ingest it, you can drink it, or you can put it on the poultice. So if you have a snake bite or a bee sting, you want to use this to draw out the poison. And even a cut or whatever, because it will draw out whatever toxins is in the area that might cause infection or something.
I just want to add on with charcoal, if you drink it in a glass, you just need to drink more water when you drink the charcoal.
Yes, so you would normally take 1 teaspoon in a glass of water. I find hot water works best because if you mix it, it can't dissolve, but it makes it go down better, and it sort of allows more of it to be consumed, because you will see afterwards there will be a lot of charcoal left in the cup that isn't able to go down. So the problem is that it doesn't mix. So what you can do is you can use linseed or flaxseed to mix the charcoal poultice. So you would crush the flaxseed. You can also buy the crushed flaxseed, but it's quite expensive. But when you crush it yourself, you get all the proper nutrients. And flaxseed also has amazing properties, which also is healing and curative. So you would combine, for example, if you take 2 teaspoons of charcoal, you would take 2 teaspoons of the crushed flaxseed and mix it with a glass of water. It will then form like a gel substance. This gel you can then put into a Ziploc bag, preferably a bigger one, and then you can store it in your fridge. So whenever you need to use it, you just cut a small piece and then you take the top layer of the plastic off and you put it directly on the skin, and then you wrap it because the plastic at the bottom is still there. So then it forms the same concept of the other type of poultice. and you put that on the infected area. Like I said, you can use it for anything, cuts, scrapes, burns, snake bites.
Joint pain, those type of things, does it work for that?
Yes, it can, but you mainly want something that will induce the circulation and the inflammatory response, which will be your ginger and garlic and so forth. So that is how you use charcoal. Okay, and then I'm going to do your water and your Himalayan salt. So Himalayan salt is very expensive, but it's extremely good. Our normal salt is, there's only 2 minerals in table salt, and together they are quite toxic for you. Not only do they kill your taste buds, but also they cause hypertension and all sorts of problems because it's very toxic together. But and that's why lots of people have high blood, because they use too much table salt. But when you use the right salt, we can never have too much because it's filled with nutrients. So normal table salt is 2 nutrients. Himalayan salt has 84 nutrients that your body needs, nutrients and minerals that your body needs. So your body is made up of 80% water, and it needs water for every cellular function to take place. And for every cellular function, it then causes every organ function, and every organ function then causes now your body to work properly. So everything works in symbiosis, but it needs water for every single function to take place. Now the problem is, because we don't consume Himalayan salt, we use table salt. That is why most people have high blood pressure, because your cell is permeable, which means things can come in and go out as it needs. So your body, in order for cellular process to take place, it needs water to come in, it needs nutrients and minerals to come in, which you get through your food and everything else. And then the cellular process can take place. And it needs magnesium to kickstart the cellular process. So when you are consuming too much table salt, the wrong nutrients is coming in and not enough water is coming in. So then your cell produces like this film around it, which becomes turgid. So then it makes it difficult for the water and the nutrients to get into the cell. So then it has to force into the cell. And that forcing over time causes pressure on the blood, on the heart, and that is how you start getting high blood, because it's that pressure that builds up all the time. This also happens if you don't drink enough water. So if you're not consuming enough water, your cell is now wanting to protect the water that's in the cell, because it needs that water to function properly. So now you have high blood pressure, and now your body is completely dehydrated, which will cause all kinds of other problems, and that is simply by water and your salt intake, or the type of salt that you are taking in. So Himalayan salt, because it has 84 of those minerals and nutrients that your body needs, that each cell needs to function, it's now being able to function properly. And so it will use the water properly, and it won't form that layer around each cell, which means that that pressure is not there anymore, and it can work at its optimum level, the way it's supposed to, the way it was designed to work. If the cellular process is working properly, all your organs will then start functioning properly, and you will start feeling a lot healthier. So all you have to do is you put 1 crystal in a glass of water is 250. If you are giving yourself the proper nutrients and minerals that it needs, it can then use the water properly, and then all your functions will happen the way it should, and you won't be that sick, and you won't have those many ailments and so forth. After in the Himalayan salt, you're absorbing all those minerals and nutrients, and then It can rectify the electron process, and then you won't be as long and so forth as well. So Himalayan salt is amazing. We give workshops like every Tuesday and so forth, and I do other talks as well. And some of the people have actually started drinking the Himalayan salt in their water, and they came back and said they feel amazing. The one lady had Achilles tendon, and it's been a problem for years. She's always had this pain, and she just started drinking this, and the pain went away. She also used to pee a lot, but because she's drinking so much water, because people think they need to drink a lot of water, and the more water you drink, the better. But you actually just passing all the water out because there's nothing to absorb it into your cells. So once she started drinking this, she went to the toilet less, because now the body is using and absorbing all the water she's consuming. So now it's actually working properly, and the ripple effect is cascading through her body. So with the result that she doesn't have the joint pain anymore, the ankle pain, and she's not peeing so much, and she said she feels so energetic. A few of the other ladies also said they just feel refreshed. They can sleep. They don't have so much insomnia anymore. Their bodily functions are just like feeling better. They generally just feel a lot healthier, a lot more sprightly, like they have their groove back, so to say. So it really is amazing what just drinking Himalayan salt in water can do. And that's it for today.
Sea salt. Sea salt. In your cooking. Is that fine?
You have to read the ingredients, because sometimes table salt is also called sea salt. So you need to see what the ingredients are and where it was harvested.
It's like the kosher proper sea salt. All swans.
Like I said, look at the price. The price will indicate what type of salt it really is. But read the ingredients of where and how it's harvested. I would suggest that you get Himalayan salt or Celtic salt. Now Celtic salt has 98 minerals and nutrients in it, which is the best type. But that's very expensive. Like this, for example, was 38 rand when I bought. But Celtic salt, sorry, is like 98 rand. So you see the difference. But this is more expensive now.
I buy Himalayan salt at Kismet in Wynberg. The normal table salt is now, the normal packet that fills up that bottle of, it's now about 10 rand a packet. No, it's 10 rand now, but it's Cerebos. No, I'm talking about the packet, the little packet.
At Kismet.
No, the normal table salt that say ShopRite.
Okay.
It's 10 rand now. You see that one? And so I went to Kismet. Oh well, I'm buying, for a few months I'm buying the Himalayan salt. That packet fills up my bottle and I pay 15 rand. So I decided, no, why must I buy the table salt that good? So I buy at Kismet.
I would be a bit cautious with things that are so cheap, because what they also do is they just dye the salt, because the salt normally comes in crystal form first.
You can find one as well.
Yes, then they refine it and
I'm buying the refined one.
okay, so just be careful. I would try to not buy too cheap, because that is a lot of times it's also normal salt that is colored, that they call Himalayan salt, because like with the honey, you know, they use ilova or whatever and say it's honey.
But it's not that potent as the normal salt. It's not that strong. It's like Himalayan salt.
Okay.
It tastes like that.
Okay.
And in your food also.
Okay.
Yeah,
If you compare the taste
I
with
would-
other
yes.
more expensive and it's the same, then great, let's all go buy Kismet.
But I'll find out. I'll talk to them about Osnes.
Sorry, that mentioned because it's also where you buy. A lot of the times, they sell the stuff and they add flour to it. And you think it's cayenne pepper, oh, it's quite cheap. And so it's all discolored, you know. So you buy, you see the same with honey, you see sometimes where it's made, because you get the stuff from China as well, and that's not pure honey. You know, so yeah, and they call it pink salt as well. And you can buy it at foodies and stuff like that, and it's all cheap, but it's like you say,
What I also want to say is you get Bath Himalayan salt. Preferably don't buy the Bath because that process is different. So this goes through a food grade process, but that doesn't go through a food grade process, and that they normally just load onto the trucks and package it as is. So it's full of the dirt and the toxins and stuff like that. But you want purified, so rather food grade. So you need to read your labels. It's very important to get the proper things into your body.
So this skin I find I would buy my skin.
Yeah, I think at the moment from my research, Discam is the cheapest, but whatever works for you. It's not as cheap as Kismet.
I'll have to go back to them.
Yeah, I would suggest ask them, find out where the origin of the salt is and so forth. Yeah. And also, it can't produce high blood because it's not the only tool, because it's opening your cells, and high blood comes from pressure on the cell. So once your cellular processes are working optimally, you will see that your other problems in your body also start easing off. Yeah, so you can reverse high blood, you can reverse diabetes, you can get general health just by doing these simple things.
You were saying 1 crystal in a glass of water, so you can take 4 crystals and make a liter.
Yes.
And then just...
Yeah, just measure how many liters or moles you are using, and you use the crystals accordingly. These are big crystals, you get the smaller ones. If it's smaller, use a little more, because normally it's 1 big crystal for. But what works best is if you put it on your tongue and you sip the water, because you also mustn't gulp your water down. You need to sip it gradually so that the absorption process can take place into your cells. So when you are putting it on your tongue and you are sipping water continuously, that is the best way to drink Himalayan salt, because the magnesium is going straight into your bloodstream, and that magnesium from the salt is what triggers or activates your cellular processes. So in order for the cellular process to be activated properly, it needs that magnesium, and a lot of us are magnesium deficient as well. So preferably just suck it on your tongue and sip water, but if you are on the go person, put it in. Same thing, you just might lose the efficacy of the magnesium, but I mean overall it's still amazing for your body. I suffer from insomnia, and when I started drinking the Himalayan salt, firstly I shot out in pimples all over, but that's because it's detoxing you. And then I started sleeping like a baby, and now I don't need to take tablets or things to sleep, because now everything is in sync and running smoothly, and so it really works.
So if you drink the magnesium and the Himalayan salt, then stop buying Steenberg.
Like I said, don't stop your things. Wean off. But Slowmag, yes, Slowmag is a great form of magnesium. However, these days, because of what's happening in the world, they put other things in tablets also. So we need to be careful with consuming vitamins from the shelf as well, because you're not 100% sure of what is in there. So the best way is to go natural, to eat organic produce, because that is the best way to get the proper nutrients into your body the way your body needs. For example, if you need vitamin A for eyesight or whatever the case may be, and you consume a lot of carrots, the vitamin A is not, so is it vitamin A, Antika? for your eyes? Okay, let's go to bones. Sorry. Bones need calcium, but it doesn't need calcium in the calcium form. It needs it in beta-carotene form. So the problem is, Pete, everyone says you need to drink calcium, you need to eat calcium, you need to consume calcium, but that's not the calcium that you need, because that actually causes osteoporosis and bone degradation. What your body needs is beta-carotene, and the beta-carotene will then, your body will convert that into calcium, and that conversion process in your body is what your bones really need for strength and support and so forth. So it's best to take the vitamins and stuff from your food rather than from supplements, because your body doesn't need it in that form. It needs it in the form it is in the produce, so that your body can convert it into the proper form that it needs for all your organs and things to function properly. So I would advise people to start a home food garden, not only to be sustainable and have food for whatever's coming, but also for healing as well. So as you can see, you can use produce from your food garden to heal yourself. So now you can do your blood pressure checks and your eye test, and you can have some of the juice at the back. The juices, it's juice straight from, it's juicing straight from the vegetables. So there is for high blood, for diabetes, for sinus, and immune booster. So you can see what you want, and you get a little tot of whatever it is that you
Where's the best place to buy your veggies? But organic veggies is very expensive.
Yeah.
So that you perhaps know where you put, besides doing home produce.
If you go to, on the way to Scapegraaf,
Yeah.
okay, I think they call it, but it's past the artery that way. Like if you go to Scapegraaf nowadays, the farmer actually made, he gave a piece of the land, and he made cubicles for the people selling the fruit there. It's mostly Zimbabweans that are selling there. So that is, it's a bit pricey, but it's organic, because if you go to food lovers, the apples, the green apples, and what they do, they put a wax on it. So if you feel it, it's like slippery. Now with that also, you need to wash it in vinegar and bicarb, and you get all the wax off, or all the pesticides that they put on it. So all the veggies that we do buy from Pick and Pay, Food Lovers, or all that,
you have to clean it.
we have to clean it.
With bicarb.
It's just to get all that.
Between frozen veggies, sometimes you hear stories that frozen veggies is better than natural something. I mean, there was those kind of theories as well, because they like cook. Yeah.
But also, like with the frozen stuff, is you don't know how long it's been in cold storage. Especially if you go to the Epping market and all that. So now or like Pick and Pay, like the bulk buyers, they'll buy in bulk. But now you don't know how long it's in cold storage. So that's why if you, like food lovers, I find food lovers, if you buy, the veggies doesn't last long. If you buy it, you must use it. If you leave it, it becomes like soggy and that stuff. Yeah, and that's money down the drain. Yeah. You see, nowadays one has to be also careful of because you don't know what preservatives they put, like for cold storage and that stuff. So
And
organic,
the processing of it.
yeah, organic is probably.
Is that cost Pick and Pay? Pick and Pay is
Yes, that Pick and Pay there on Crossy Park here. If you go down that road, then you just follow that road as you go to Weltevreden Road. So it's BM Boerdery, something is there, and then you go past that. Now BM Boerdery also sells like the organics. I pay for spinach, it's like 10 rand a bunch, but it's from the farm. And then, but now if you go past BM Boerdery, and you just follow the road, then it's it's like a dirt road that you turn left, and then the stores are all there. It's mostly people from Zim, but like I say, it's all organic stuff, yeah, self-sustained. Because the farmer now gave them the land to sell stuff.